Hi guys, Paul Michaels from Real Dog Training and Big Game Indicating Dogs with another video from the couch. Why I train heel last. Training heel last has been one of the two biggest and most beneficial changes I've basically ever made in my deer dog training system and my big game indicating dog training system. Fly was the first dog I didn't touch heel with until I had everything else sorted, and there's some very good reasons for this. I have heard dog trainers say that training a good heel is one of the hardest things to do. That is complete rubbish. I was about to say something else there, but let's keep this professional. Totally not true. Training a solid heel is one of the easiest things to train a dog. The reason for that is well, there's several reasons for it, but one of the main reasons is heel. The dog has a very good physical reference that is always right there, which is you. It has to be behind you. You put it in behind you. It's got a super clear boundary there. It's not to go past you. That's easy. Another big reason is as soon as you put a dog in behind, that is dog language for you're behind, I'm in front, I'm leading, I've taken over, stand down. Teaching heel is easy, so you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to hook into it right from the start. And even more importantly, when you do your heel work first, you are making one of the hardest things to train, which is actually one of the harder things to train, a hell of a lot harder, and that is range and getting your dog comfortable out in front and staying close on its own, and what I call a non-communicative range, where you don't have to say anything, you don't need to give commands. The dog walks slow and close right in front. It knows it's not meant to go past a certain point, and it stays inside that itself. It looks over its shoulder, it uses its hearing, it uses its peripheral vision, and stays inside range, which is our most important thing with a big game indicating dog. What happens when you do a heap of heel work early is then when you start to try to teach range, your dog tries to pull away too far. You put a bit of pressure on it, whether it be a command of disapproval, bit of an arc, cut it out, say the dog's name in a firm tone, a check on the long line, whatever you do. Instead of the dog dropping back to its place of work, nice and slow and close right in front, it drops back in behind. And then the dog walks out in front, goes too far out in front, you give it a check, it drops back in behind into that heel position because you've done work on that before. The main way of training heel or range, and actually the main fundamental principle of real dog training, is you put pressure on what you don't want and praise on what you do want. You put pressure on what you don't want and you release all the pressure as soon as the dog gets where you want it. And that's how you teach heel. Well, that's also how you teach range. When the dog goes outside of the range you've set, you put pressure on it. As soon as it comes back inside that range, you take all the pressure off. Whether that be by taking all the pressure off the long line or the lead as soon as it gets where you want it. And you can also release pressure by giving praise. So I make walking nice and slow and close right in front my dog's safe spot. I never put any pressure on it while it's in there, and I do the opposite. I regularly give it praise while it's where I want it. And it's a long process that starts ideally when the pup's 8 or 9 weeks old. I slowly start working on this. All the pup knows is walking in front. It gets a lot of pat and praise in front. And I just slowly start adding small amounts of pressure when the pup pulls out of that range. And I hold that pressure on, and when the pup drops back in, all the pressure comes off, it gets a pat, and we just bounce backwards and forwards until slow and close right in front is where the pup wants to be, because that's where there's no pressure, that's where life's good, that's where everything's happy. the dog succeeds there, and that's where it wants to be. Like I said, if I've done a lot of heel work, every time I try to put pressure on the dog, it tries to drop back in behind. So that's it really. Yeah. All of this is covered in the Deer Dog Training Blueprint. In this case with Print, I've taken it to the extreme and it's worked very, very well. I didn't do any heel work with Print until he was about 11 months old. And we got all his range, everything set up really nicely out in front. And it actually took me 10 minutes from doing no heel training ever to having Print walking nicely at heel in one 10-minute session. And then we done another, probably within 3 or 4 10-minute sessions after that, I have my 2 modes. So that's what I do, I set up 2 modes. One is out in front and one is in at heel. My out walk in front command or my go command is a double peep. And my heel command, I don't use the word heel, I use get in. And now I can be walking along with Print, he can be out in front, I can say get in. And he just swings back in behind nicely, can walk along there. Whenever I want, I use my double peep whistle, and he's back out in front, and I've got 2 modes to switch between. So that's it, guys. If you're training a deer dog, seriously consider setting it up out in front. Leave the heel till last. It's easy anyway. And all of this is in the Deer Dog Training Blueprint. Link in the description. That's it. Paul Michaels from Big Game Indicating Dogs and Real Dog Training. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.